Why are some people blessed by luck, while others are not so lucky? Pay attention to this story.
Helen Hadsell was able to win any competition she took part in. She was known as the contest queen because she had won 7 trips to Paris, boats, houses. She would basically take part in any sweepstake, any contest, and just win. Helen Hadsell. That's me with my documentary crew. And I asked Helen, how do you do that? And she spoke about the Silva techniques. Helen, you see, was Jose Silva's former PR director. She had the benefit of learning closely from that man. Now, Jose Silva was a radio repairman in Laredo, Texas. And when he worked for the US Army, he observed something interesting. He saw a hypnotherapist being brought into the US military to help soldiers overcome PTSD and stress. This got him very interested in hypnotherapy, and he decided to dive into that exploration. But he had a reason for it. Jose had 10 children. And being a radio repairman, he knew that if you reduce the resistance in a wire, more electricity flows. He wondered, is there a resistance in the brain? And if we could reduce this resistance, would his kids do better at school? So he started exploring relaxation techniques, biofeedback, and hypnotherapy. Back then, the word meditation was hardly used. Now keep in mind, this was like the 50s and 60s. And what he found was fairly interesting. His kids' grades improved as he would guide them into a relaxed level of mind called the alpha level. Their memory would improve, their grades would improve, but then something astonishing happened. Jose was working with his daughter, Isabella, and he was helping Isabella with one of her school books. I can't remember the exact topic, but let's say it was history. So Jose would train his kids this way. He would guide Isabella into a relaxed state of mind called the alpha level. And then he would ask Isabella a question, and when you're at the alpha level, answers come to you faster. And so Isabella would answer the questions on, say, history. But then something weird happened. As Jose formulated the question in his head, for example, who was the 16th president of the United States? Before he could verbally say the question, Isabella would answer, Abraham Lincoln. She was able to answer questions before Jose verbally expressed them. It was as if she was linked to his mind. Now, I met Isabella around 12 years ago. We were at a Silva conference in Greece. She shared this remarkable story with me. And Isabella today still functions as a healer. She works at a hospital in Texas, and she's what we call a medical intuit. And doctors use her. When a patient walks in, she stays in a corner. The doctor is there. She reads the patient, and then she goes to the doctor and she privately whispers to the doctor, check his kidneys. It's interesting. The doctors don't publicly say this because it's too out there. But this is how powerful Isabella's mind has become. Silva was fascinated by this, and he wrote to the leading psychic researcher of that time, Dr. J.B. Ryan at Duke University. Had a famous program testing ESP. They had proven that intuition was real. And Jose said, Dr. J.B. Ryan, I think I just trained my kids to be psychic. And J.B. Ryan said, no, and what I found, no one could be trained to be psychic. Your kids were just probably born psychic. So Jose said, I don't believe that. I believe we can train someone to be psychic. And so what he did was, in addition to Isabella, he trained all his kids. And then as his kids started showing up better in school, the neighbors were sending him his kids. So he trained the neighbors' kids. Then he started training the neighbors. And he proved J.B. Ryan wrong. The rate of intuition displayed in Silva classes is astonishing. Now at that point, Silva started to grow and grow. Journalists started talking about this phenomenon, the Silva method. And finally, there was an article that appeared in a local newspaper about a man who had chronic migraine for years. And he wrote how nothing could heal his migraine. But when he learned the Silva method and was able to get into the alpha level of mind, his migraines disappeared for good. The next class was absolutely swamped. Silva continued to expand, and he became world-renowned. He started collaborating with famous scientists like William Broad at the San Antonio Mind Science Center to study the human mind. And Silva got coverage in prestigious newspapers like the New York Times. But look at this article, for example, right? It talks about brainwaves studied, and the article mentions nothing of intuition. It mentions biofeedback. Now, Silva was smart. He knew that at this time, if he went out and he said he was teaching people to be functionally psychic, people would call him crazy. So in his seminars, especially in places like New York, he positioned it to CEOs, speaking of biofeedback, how CEOs could control stress, control migraines, get better at their job. And then on day 4 of the class, he'd go, ta-da! And then he'd teach them waking psychic intuition. He'd have to build up their muscle to get to that level. But he proved time and time and time again that you could train someone to do this. This is why so many leading personal growth teachers were such Silva fans. For example, the late Wayne Dyer said this about Jose Silva. Anything with the name of Jose Silva as the author has my vote before I open to page 1. Yet the entire thing, Silva method, almost never happened. Jose Silva spent years studying hypnotherapy, spent years studying psychology, and as he was so deep in this research, his radio business suffered, and his income started dipping. And one day, he wrote in his biography, he lay in bed, completely frustrated that all his passion for psychology, his passion for hypnotherapy, wasn't rewarding him in terms of financial stability. He said, I picked up a book on hypnotherapy and I just flung it across the room, determined that I would never go into that field again. That night, something interesting happened. As he slept, he saw 4 numbers in his sleep, along with a religious picture called the One Solitary Life, which had to do with Jesus. Jose Silva was a Christian. As he woke up, he realized something. That picture came from a higher power. And he mentioned later in his writing that the Jesus was simply symbology, that it was coming from a good source. Silva is non-religious. You could be of any religion. And when these insights come to you, sometimes they might come accompanied by your guru or your teacher or your holy book. Okay? But Silva was fascinated by these 4 numbers, and it hit him. This is the license plate number of a car. There's someone driving a car with this license plate number that I have to meet. And so Silva went to work that day at his radio repair shop, puzzling, thinking about this number, keeping his eye out for any car. That day, a friend came to the store, and his friend said, hey, Jose, so I want to go pick up some Mexican groceries. Would you like to ride with me? I'm going to drive across the border to Nuevo Laredo, pick up my groceries, come back here. Let's go hang out, have a chat. And Jose told his friend about the number. And Jose said, yes, I'll come with you. But as we are driving, I'm going to be keeping my eye out for any car with that license plate number. His friend probably thought he was a little bit out there, but his friend decided to take Jose for the drive. Back then, crossing the Nuevo Laredo border was a lot easier than it is right now. So they drove to Nuevo Laredo, and they stopped at their favorite Mexican grocery store. As Jose was picking his groceries, he heard his friend call out, Jose, come check this out. There at the front of the counter was a Mexican lottery ticket for a lottery. And there was the exact 4-digit number Jose had seen. Jose bought the ticket and he won $10,000. That's $50,000 in today's money. That gave him, he said, the confidence and the boost of motivation to understand that he was onto something. That money funded the rest of the research he needed to complete the Silva method. But he also went on to write in his biography, look at the coincidences that happened. The dream, the friend walking in, going to that specific grocery store, that exact number being there. He said it wasn't just intuition. There was a force, something was laying out the right people, the right circumstances, the right coincidences to move him towards that outcome. This is what I started experiencing in my life. It started when I was 26 years old. That's a picture of me at 26. I was living in New York and I grew tired of New York and I decided to move to Silicon Valley, to San Francisco. It was 2001 when I landed in San Francisco. And my timing, in a word, sucked. In April 2001, the dot-com bubble burst. Everything collapsed. 14,000 people were laid off. I couldn't get a job. And if that wasn't agony enough, going months and months and months, not even being able to afford rent, but sleeping on a couch, September 11 then hit, making the economy go further into a recession. I was sending out my resume to anyone that would hire me. And finally, I got a big break. A company that developed and sold software to law firms hired me, but on the condition that I only get paid if I close a sale. They asked me if I had any sales experience. I had none. But I didn't dare tell them that because I was sick and tired of sleeping on my friends' couches. I wanted to at least have enough money for rent. So I jumped into this job knowing nothing about sales. In my first month, I made a big fat zero because I couldn't get a single lawyer to show enough enthusiasm to actually buy my software. But it was worse than that. Now, back then, this is what we had to do. I was assigned a territory. It was San Antonio, Texas. I had to call every lawyer in San Antonio, Texas in the Yellow Pages from A to Z. And if you know anything about American Texan lawyers, you know this. If you are a telemarketer or a salesperson and you interrupt a Texan lawyer in the middle of a busy day, you're going to hear more kids than you'd ever imagine you would hear in a 24-hour period. But not only that, these were American lawyers. They would tell me to F off in the most creative ways involving broom handles and blenders and body parts I dare not mention. And so one day, after I guess the 13th lawyer verbally abused me, I decided that I either had to change something about my life or I had to quit. Now back then, this new technology had just emerged. We called it Google. Google was this new search engine that was just starting to rise in dominance. So I got on Google and I needed answers. I started Googling for hope. I asked Google, I don't remember what I typed in that day, but it may have been, Google, why does my life suck so bad? Or Google, give me an answer. Or Google, why are Texan lawyers such assholes? But what I do know is that day I saw a website on Google, and it was about meditation. It was a name I recognized, the Silva Method. I'd read those books when I was a kid. The Silva Method books were hugely popular in the 70s and 80s and 90s, but this was about a new creation by Jose Silva called Silva Ultramind. Apparently it was his final work. He had created it in 96, released it to the world, but before it could really take off, he passed away in 1999. And so there were very few seminars teaching this, but I was intrigued at what the website claimed. The seminar was being taught in LA by a pharmaceutical salesperson, and she mentioned that she had used the tools here to overcome a tragic divorce. She had built her life back. She had jacked up her sales. She was now driving a Ferrari, and she'd met the man of her dreams. And this is why she'd decided, in addition to being a pharma sales rep, to teach the Silva Method, and that she had a class happening that very weekend. That was enough for me. I put the few dollars I had into a plane ticket, flew to LA, showed up for the class. Now, interestingly, when I showed up, I realized that as good at sales as she must have been, she wasn't good at marketing. I was the only student who showed up, but I took that to my advantage. I got incredible one-on-one training with her, and I experienced the power of the Silva Ultramind system. Now, the class was meant to be 2 days, but because I had one-on-one attention, I finished it in one day, in that Saturday, going all the way up to like 9 p.m. I then raced back to the airport, flew to San Francisco, and arrived early Sunday morning in the a.m. I was ready to start my day on Monday. That Sunday, I put what I learned into action. I meditated and I applied the meditation process to go into deep levels of mind. I applied what is called the 3 scenes technique to see my life unfolding in different ways. I applied the mental video technique. And on Monday, I showed up at work and I started putting these techniques into place. Now, back then, to get my list of lawyers to call up, I had to go to the San Francisco Public Library, check the Yellow Pages for San Antonio, get to the page on law firms, photocopy that page, rush back to my office, and call every attorney from A to Z. But this time, I decided to try what I learned in Silva, namely to tap into an altered state of mind called waking theta, and then tap into human intuition. I would sink into my meditative state, put the piece of paper on my table, run my fingers down the page, and I would only call the lawyers for which I felt an impulse. The impulse, I'll explain it this way, it kind of felt like positivity, like a light, happy, positive feeling. And I would only call those names that gave me that impulse. I would not call any name that didn't give me that hit. Overnight, I doubled my sales. Now, if you know anything about professional level sales, you know that salespeople, they track everything, right? It's an empirical process. You know the number of calls you have to make, you know the number of people who are going to tell you to F off, the number of people who are going to provide you your credit card, the number of people you're going to bill. I tracked everything. And at the end of that week, I doubled my sales. Now, at first I thought maybe this is an aberration, but the next week, I doubled it again when I brought in more Silva techniques. I started growing in my performance so massively that my boss came to me and he said, Vishen, what are you doing? And I said, I think they call it ESP. And he said, nah, that's bullshit, but can you keep doing it? And I grew so fast. My company promoted me 3 times in 4 months, and soon I grew satisfied working at this company. 18 months had elapsed, and I decided I was able to do so many things. At this point, because of Silva, I was vice president of sales running their New York office in one of the most outstanding buildings in the city, Chelsea Market. It's one of the most, my office is where YouTube Studio sits today. But I was so productive, I was able to take on a second job as business development director. I was able to do 2 jobs in the space of time as an ordinary human being because my mind was so powerful due to Silva. I could use intuition to make better decisions. I could use the alpha level of mind and manifesting to create synchronicities. I was hyper productive, but I needed to do more because why work as a VP of sales when you have this level of potential? So at that point, I decided I needed to go bigger. And I remembered something. I was the only person who showed up for that Silva Ultramind class. Yet these techniques had taught me so much more than my degree at the prestigious University of Michigan School of Engineering. So I decided to become a Silva instructor. I quit my job cold turkey. I became a Silva instructor. And then I used the tools of Silva to grow and elevate my career. That led to me creating the company called Mindvalley, to Mindvalley growing into the business it is today. It led to me just a few months ago getting an award here in the country in which I'm filming this for Mindvalley being the most successful bootstrap startup in Estonia. And for me being recognized by the president of the country I'm in right now as the most recognized foreign founder in the country. None of these awards, none of these accomplishments would have been possible if it wasn't for Silva and the tools that I'm about to teach you here, guiding me throughout my life. Let me show you something. The picture you're seeing here is the picture of my first office. At this point, I'd moved back to my home country, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. That's my first office when I started out as an entrepreneur. I set a goal to have one of the most beautiful offices in the world because I love interior design. This is what happened next. Our office, now called the Temple of Light, made Inc. magazine. Top 10 most beautiful workspaces in the world, 2019. This was one of just many goals that I was able to see in my mind on the mental screen that you're going to learn here, and then see them rush into my life with an ease and a fluidity that almost makes you feel that life is magical. And so I want to pause here, and I want you to do an exercise with me. I want you to open up your journal or a piece of paper and write down one goal that you'd love to accomplish, assuming you had easy access to intuition, assuming you knew this powerful technique to visualize your future and bring it towards you. What is one goal that you would love to accomplish? Write it down. Now, one of the things that makes Silva truly unique, Jose Silva doesn't just teach you to go deep into your goals. He teaches you a concept I call the compass and the rocket. You don't just rocket towards a goal. First, you use your compass or your intuition to identify if your goal is right for you, if you're aiming for the right goal. So this is a further nuance that we'll cover when you go deeper into the Silva Ultramind system. Sometimes what we think is a goal that we want isn't right for us. There's something else we're meant to be doing. Silva helps you identify that compass and then rocket towards it. Now, I hope you understand I was joking when I mentioned Texas lawyers being assholes. No disrespect. Silva was actually founded in Texas. I was recently interviewing one of Texas' most famous sons, Matthew McConaughey. And as I interviewed Matthew, he shared with me a really interesting idea. You see, Matthew, when he was young, wrote down all his goals on a sheet of paper. He shared this with me, and he was in a fraternity when he wrote this down. This is the piece of paper that he shared in his autobiography. Notice that one goal, win a Best Actor Oscar. 20 years later, Matthew McConaughey won that Oscar. Think about it. That's a goal that only one person gets to hit every year. He wrote it down and 20 years later achieved it. And I asked Matthew, what do you think is going on? Do you think that was just purely 1 in a billion chance? And he said, no. The target attracts the arrow. Now, what he meant by this is that what if there are goals out there that the universe or a higher force wants to achieve, and it's looking for the arrow. The target already exists. The target is looking to attract the right arrow. I sometimes ask myself, did I build this dream company, Mindvalley? Or was Mindvalley already in the universe's plan, and I was the arrow that it chose to hit that target? This is why it's so important to check into your intuition first before you aim for a goal. Because what if there's a target out there calling you, asking you to be that arrow, and you aren't listening? This is why intuition development is one of the most powerful tools you can learn. Now, before we go further, the Silver Ultramind program covers 8 outcomes. Now, the first area is this: develop crystal clear intuition, meaning you are so intuitive that you have waking intuition. You get guidance instantly. Next, multiply your manifesting power. This means you can have an intention, and within days, you see that intention becoming real in the world. Third, career growth. This means you're able to bring altered state access into your career, like the story of me running my finger down the yellow pages. Fourth, boosting creativity. If you're writing a book or if you're in any type of artistic pursuit, creativity can just flow. I can be given any book topic right now. I can go into my theta level of mind and just let that creativity flow. This is similar to some of the stuff that you may have heard great inventors speak about when ideas come to them fully formed in their head, like how Elias Howe invented the sewing machine, how Tesla came up with the AC motor. Next, being totally grounded. This means even in the midst of chaos, you can go into this peaceful Zen-like state of mind and be grounded. 6, discovering and honoring your purpose, knowing what targets are pulling yourself as an arrow. That's really what being aligned with your purpose means. Next, having the skills for alternative healing. What this means is being able to visualize your body healing so you can reverse aging, heal things like, for example, your skin, even lose weight, accelerate healing from injury, and keep yourself in high states of youth and vitality as you get older. And finally, achieving self-awareness. This is when you're truly aware of your true potential, you can magnify your strengths, and you can overcome your weaknesses. Some of the stuff that Silva graduates have been able to accomplish are wild. In the last 10 years, I traveled around the United States meeting many prominent Silva practitioners. Many of them were in their 60s or 70s or 80s. This is one woman I visited, Helen Hadsell. That's me with my documentary crew. We filmed a short documentary on her. Now, Helen Hadsell was known as the contest queen of Texas. I traced Helen to a tiny village in Texas where she was living at that time. Helen Hadsell was able to win any competition she took part in. She was known as the contest queen because she had won 7 trips to Paris, boats, houses. She would basically take part in any sweepstake, any contest, and just win. And I asked Helen, how do you do that? And she spoke about the Silva techniques. Helen, you see, was Jose Silva's former PR director. She had the benefit of learning closely from that man. Then there's this individual, Bert Goldman. Bert Goldman was an early Mindvalley author. We published a program with him called The American Monk and another program called Quantum Jumping. Bert Goldman is in his 90s, but the thing that's incredible about Bert Goldman is even though he's in his 90s, he is a prolific creator. People who can tap into the theta states are like that. Bert has become a renowned artist. His art sells for between $10,000 to $20,000 a piece. I know because I have 2 of them in my office in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. But not only art, Bert can pick up any skill he wants. I saw him in his 80s learn to play the piano. He even developed a unique style of photography. True, applying the Silva method. The exact ideas, the exact system to develop this photography came to him in a dream. Then there's this legendary teacher. If you're a Mindvalley fan, you've heard of her, Christy Marie Sheldon. She's one of the top spiritual teachers on Mindvalley and a best-selling author from 2014 all the way to 2018. Christy Marie Sheldon started her career, she told me, when a Silva method book fell on her head. This ability to perceive information is so profound. It is why Richard Bach, the famous writer, credited Silva with helping him finish one of the greatest books of the last 100 years, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, as a book, was so popular as a personal growth tale, it made the cover of Time magazine. But Richard Bach, in an interview with Harper's Bazaar magazine, said that he had difficulty finishing the book until he took a Silva class. And that's when the closing chapter came to him. Now, interestingly enough, Richard Bach's daughter, Gauri, reached out to me and shared the full story. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, the book that made the cover of Time magazine, sat in Richard's basement for years until taking a Silva class helped him complete it. And he was so fond of Silva, he would teach techniques to Gauri. Imagine writing a book because of Silva that is so successful. You make the cover of Time magazine. But that's what our graduates are doing. Now, I can tell you that the Silva method is probably one of the most profound pieces of knowledge and wisdom that have ever entered my life, which is why I'm so honored that Jose's daughter, Diana Silva, and his family asked me to bring this program together, to be the new face of the Silva method. What you're seeing here is 4 years in the making. I started working with the Silva family in 2003. And in 2020, we launched Silva Ultramind, the most advanced Silva program in the world right now. And it's now available for you completely on Mindvalley. You can choose to take everything you learned so far and try to figure it out over the next 4 years, or you can choose to have me hold your hand 20 to 30 minutes a day and go into a complete transformation. Now, odds are you already meditate. So for the next 30 days, it's not like you have to spend an extra 20 minutes. You can, since there's going to be a lot of meditation in this program, just use your regular meditation or yoga time. You're going to come out of these trainings with the same relaxed, beautiful, wonderful, blissful sensations. So to enroll, all you got to do is this. Scroll down below this video and you will see full information on the program. And you will notice that there's a special unlock price for you. Now, what this means is, as a thank you for watching this masterclass, we're going to give you a big discount on this program. It's only available on this page, so do not close this page. Go ahead, click enroll, and join the program. Now, I want you to understand one thing about our Mindvalley programs. You don't have to make up your mind right now. You can enroll in this program, test it out, and anytime in the next 15 days, with one click, cancel your purchase and get a full unconditional refund. All you have to do is click on your account page on the Mindvalley platform, click on the refund button, and that's it. You are never obligated to buy a program. You can test it out. You can see the video. You can even go through practically half the program because you can give yourself a refund in 15 days with one click. So you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Now, if you are buying a house or buying a car, you would obviously test drive things, right? I encourage you to do the same here. Scroll down below, click enroll so you can take advantage of the enrollment discount, explore the program as much as you want in the next 15 days, cancel and get your refund. You can apply your refund to another Mindvalley program, or you can just keep it. All the information is on mindvalley.com/refund. By the way, you get over 50 programs on Mindvalley instantly available for you. You can go through a new program every month or do 2 programs in a month and up-level yourself in 24 unique areas of life in the coming year. But that's not all. Membership also means that you get access to Mindvalley live events with so many special guests.
What's happening here?
You're on our private social network. You're in a network of fellow members, and these are such incredible individuals. And we have memberships now in every country in the world. Now, in this special class, you get so many bonuses. And the biggest bonus is this. Before I launched Silva Ultramind, there was another really remarkable program that I released. It was on creative visualization. It sold for $249. You're going to get creative visualization free. I collaborated on this with the phenomenal teacher, Lisa Nichols. You might remember her from the hit movie, The Secret. Working with Lisa Nichols, we created these amazing creative visualization tracks to help you visualize spectacular outcomes in your life. You're going to get this as a bonus, $249, but only during the launch period. Now, here's how you use this bonus with Silva. As you go through the Silva program, as you learn to go deeper and deeper into Alpha, you can go to the Alpha level of mind. Remember, by the end of week 1, you can get to Alpha in about 10 seconds, right? You can now go to Alpha and then play this audio, this creative visualization audio. Choose the ones that relate to the particular outcomes in life you want and watch magic happen. Now, before I launched this program in 2020, I was about to give a class to CEOs and CHROs at the Ritz-Carlton in Marina del Rey, California. That class was $8,000. And if you were a Mindvalley member, you got it as a discount for around $3,995. And you will see that what I was teaching in the class is essentially key ideas from Silva, except that we also added networking and some nuances for CEOs and CHROs. That is how much this content was worth. CEOs were taking 2 days off their busy schedules to travel to the Ritz-Carlton's Marina del Rey to go deep with me. Now keep in mind, you're getting all of that in this new Silva Ultramind program. I put it in this program because, well, in March 2020, it became very apparent that we didn't know how long the world was going to be in a pandemic, and I wouldn't have a chance to teach this class. Prior to that, my Silva class, and the picture you're seeing here is a Silva Ultramind seminar over 2 days in Estonia. These classes were attended by 500 people. Now, the entire curriculum for that 2 days, we're giving it to you in 20 to 30 minutes a day over 30 days. So you're getting the exact same training. But there's an extra bonus. You're going to be connected in a community using Mindvalley's new private social network. So even though you can't be in a class with other students, you'll get to connect on a private social network, which not only will give you access to other students, but will also show you students who might be nearby so that you can get together for a cup of coffee or to practice and connect on your Silva practice and find partners and collaborators. Now, here's how the program works. As soon as you click Enroll, you get to access the program in full. Simply open up the Mindvalley app on your iPhone or Android and the program will be there for you, or open it up on Apple TV, or go to home.mindvalley.com. There's a Mindvalley app on all of these devices. The program has a start date. Join a class. All our classes start on a Monday. You can see the number of students in a class and join the class with the largest number of students. Trust me, it's the most fun. Now, every day, a new lesson will unlock. Simply follow the lessons and the meditation. That's it. Before the class starts, there's a series of warm-up videos that I created for you, guiding you through the entire process so you know exactly how to prepare. And you'll also get a welcome guide that explains how the entire system works. At this point, you have 2 choices. You can choose to say, okay, I've learned enough. I think this is pretty cool. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to learn to get to Alpha over the next 40 days. I'm just going to figure everything out. And I'm sure you could figure everything out. It may take years, but you could. When I was 14 years old and I picked up my first Silva book and I had that skin problem, I wish I'd been able to take a Silva class because it could have solved my skin problem probably within months. I had to read multiple books, try to figure out things on my own, and books are never as good as a powerful training. Silva's books cannot give you the full immersion that you get in a training where there are specific audio technology, specific hypnotherapy scripts. The trainings speak to your subconscious mind. They change you at a different level. But if I had taken a Silva class, my God, my entire teenage life might have been different maybe I'd be significantly more ahead than I am right now. Maybe I would have been able to at least get a date or not feel ugly. I wish I'd learned silver when I was significantly younger. Now, you didn't have to worry about that because the training is available for you right here on the Mindvalley platform. So to enroll, all you got to do is this. Scroll down below this video and you will see full information on the program. I can't wait to see you in our membership.